Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, leader of the opposition, PNM, Pennelope Beckles, has accused the government of failing to deliver on its job promises and called on Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar to account to thousands of applicants. In his statement, Beckles said that more than 70,000 people were dismissed within 10 months, while 1,801 were hired under the national recruitment drive. Well, she's not making up numbers here, people, in the sense of the 1,801, and most likely the 70,000 applications is correct as well. She said the government had promised 20,000 jobs in October 2025 and 50,000 jobs during the election campaign. My response: the PNM people cares about the welfare of citizens only when they're in opposition, but preach the weaning, taxing, and ultimate sacrifices gospel for the sake of the country, which of course we all know that PNM country is actually the political party, when they're in government. Having said that, because I have to make that statement clear, of course, having said that, whether Penny's statement is genuine or it was made to win political points, she is correct. She is correct. Thousands of citizens were promised that they would win during the election campaign, but instead lost their jobs. I agree with the cancelling of CPEP and URP programs. As a matter of fact, I was the one suggesting it, not taking credit for what the government did. I'm not saying that they listened to my videos and took my advice. All I wish that they would, because, I mean, I'm giving them sound advice just like Gary Griffin. Nevertheless, I agree with the cancelling of CPEP and URP programs due to corruption and wastage of taxpayers' dollars. But the administration is taking too long to provide meaningful jobs, the jobs that Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar promised the people on the campaign trail and even after they started to shut down these programs, especially for those who were maintenance workers and served a very essential purpose. At the end of the day, people have been saying that for years now. CPEP workers, URP workers, they do serve an important purpose. They maintain, they clean the drains and the roadways, not just on the highways and the main roads, but in our communities, and our communities continue to be neglected. Now, under the PNM administration for the past 2 years or so, only certain areas were still being attended to, though. So I'm not saying that it wasn't a good reason or it wasn't justified to shut down CPEP. But I'm just saying, you cannot perform the same way like PNM and expect to win an election in 2030. Many, if not most, communities throughout Trinidad are still being neglected because there aren't sufficient workers to clean drains and cut overgrown bushes along the roadways. You can't win a general election without the same working class citizens that you're ignoring right now, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, and even calling them lawless. You were not calling them lawless during the election campaign, though. All the development and progress which is taking place won't matter if the cost of living continues to rise and thousands of individuals remain unemployed. Madam Prime Minister, I'm not like Marshall Walker and these other individuals. I give you credit when credit is due. You're doing a lot of good for the Trinidadians, the citizens, including myself. But a lot of these other errors that you're making are overshadowing all the good that you're doing. I'm pleading with you once again. Wake up. Wake up for the sake of Trinidad and Tobago to ensure that the PNM does not take back control of our blessed country in 2030. Please remove Tanku from his position. Remove Tanku from his position as Minister of Finance, and definitely remove Minister of Homeland Security, Roger Alexander, from his position as well. If you do those two things and you reverse all those taxes and fees and fines that you have imposed upon the citizens, I guarantee you, the citizens will forgive you and your party, because you are probably going to retire, but your party will win again in 2030 and continue to serve the people of our nation. Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary Fali Augustine will be attending the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting in St. Kitts, Nevis this week. He says he was invited by Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar. Mr. Augustine reveals that this is the first time the office of the Chief Secretary was invited to attend this meeting. That was a wonderful gesture by the or offer that was made by the Prime Minister. That's what I'm telling you. I'm not like Marshall Walker and these individuals. Contrary to what my friends on Facebook who are UNC supporters believe, I'm not just here to oppose for opposing's sake. I will give credit when credit is due, but I will also try to show wisdom to these well-educated lawyers who are in charge of our country. My response? Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has always shown the desire to acknowledge the significant role that the Chief Secretary plays in governance of our sister isle, Tobago. Hopefully, of course, this type of treatment and acknowledgement leads to granting Tobagonians the autonomy which they have desired for many decades. Please try to keep that promise for the sake of the UNC, as I said before, and also for Fali Augustine to continue to be able to rule and to govern Tobago for the next probably decades instead of PNM finding a way to creep back into power on our sister isle. Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of the People, Social Development and Family Services, Dr. Natalie Chaitan Maraj, is encouraging parents to download a new resource aimed at helping children manage exam stress. With exams fast approaching, she says the ministry has developed a special journal designed to support emotional regulation, build confidence, and help students remain calm and focused during that exam period. Now that sounds like a good thing.
Hi guys, this is a message for all the kids about to write exams just around the corner, whether it be SCA, CSEC, or CAPE. The Ministry of the People, Social Development and Family Services, in conjunction with UNICEF, has developed this. It's called a Mindful Me Journal to help kids manage the stress of exams and school. I'm going to leave the link in the caption to download this journal. Once you print it, you'll be able to enter how you feel. You'll be able to draw if that is how you better express your feelings, so that your parents can understand and help you through the journey. The journal even has pages that gives you tips and advice on how to deal with the stress of the days before and the exam itself. Free for download from the Ministry of the People, Social Development and Family Services. We hope it helps you, and we wish every one of you the very best of luck.
The Port Authority of Trinidad and Tobago says the Blue Wave Harmony continues to operate under a structured sea trial program as it is integrated into sea bridge operations. During this phase, the release notes that the vessel is conducting cargo movements while each voyage is closely monitored to assess performance, navigational handling, and coordination with port operations. The master pilot has advised that night trials are scheduled to begin on the 25th of February, with formal performance evaluations to follow each operation. Subject to the successful completion of all required assessments, sign-off for full commercial passenger operations is anticipated by the 1st of March. Once again, you ought to be wondering if it is that certain PNM agents behind the scenes are trying to sabotage, especially Fali in Tobago, because he's the one that getting most of the pressure right now. Not really the Kamla Persad administration. Everyone is focusing on Fali, as though he could try to force these things to come into functioning 100% on his own.
Operations. A release from the port states that the program, led by maritime pilots, forms part of a controlled rollout aligned with internationally recognized maritime safety standards governing vessel certification, pilotage, and operational readiness. During this phase, the release notes that the vessel is conducting cargo movements while each voyage is closely monitored to assess performance, navigational handling, and coordination with port operations. The master pilot has advised that night trials are scheduled to begin on the 25th of February, with formal performance evaluations to follow each operation. Subject to the successful completion of all required assessments, sign-off for full commercial passenger operations is anticipated by the 1st of March. The Port Authority states that maritime operations are regulated under strict international safety protocols and that decisions regarding vessel readiness rest with the maritime pilot and the established regulatory framework. The Port Authority of Trinidad and Tobago has stated it continues to support the process and will provide further updates as operational milestones are reached.
Regional news now. New roads, modern infrastructure, expanding housing, and growth opportunities are transforming Bartica and Region 7 in Guyana for a brighter future under the leadership of President Irfan Ali and the PPP Civic Party. This is a government. The leader, Irfan Ali, is an individual. Our blessed Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar should be, or Honorable Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar should be following his footsteps, his examples, not in everything. I'm not saying everything. He didn't take a strong stance and said that he's aligning himself with America the way our Prime Minister did. They can learn from each other. But there's a whole lot that Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar can learn from the style of governance in Guyana and the leadership of President Irfan Ali. Cuba's debilitated healthcare system has been pushed to the brink of collapse by the United States blockading the country's oil supply, the Cuban official said Friday. The country's medical system was already perpetually crisis-stricken along with the island's economy, with lack of supplies, staff, and medicine long being the norm. But the turmoil has reached a new extreme in recent weeks. Ambulances are struggling to find fuel to respond to emergencies. My response, I am saddened by what is taking place, but people, if the Communist Party really cares about the welfare of Cubans, they will relinquish power and allow democracy to be restored. Having said that, I believe that the Trump administration should take decisive and swift action in Cuba, of course Venezuela and Iran as well, instead of continuing this unsuccessful blockade strategy, which has only adversely affected the lives of the mass citizens and the mass population instead of the Communist Party members. We're talking about decades of these blockades. And yet the Castro party has refused to give up power. So why continue to do it? Why continue to do it when it's only basically the citizens are really suffering the consequences for the actions of their dictators? Take decisive action and restore democracy on the island. And therefore the citizens, even though some might really still support the communists, they themselves will benefit from restoration of democracy and diplomacy with America and all other nations. The Airport Authority of Jamaica plans to spend more on capital projects in the fiscal year ending 2027 than at any point since the pandemic, as it works to modernize the country's aviation infrastructure against the backdrop of a sector still recovering from Hurricane Melissa's fallout. Capital investment by AAJ for 2026 to 2027 is budgeted at 9.5 billion Jamaican dollars, stated the Jamaica Public Bodies report published this month by the Ministry of Finance. The church leader has urged the Barbados Labour Party BLP administration to practice good governance and responsible leadership as it begins another term following its clean sweep in the February 11th general election. Reverend Adrian Smith of the Calvary Moravian Church delivered the charge during the BLP's Thanksgiving service at Golden Square Freedom Park on Sunday, which also marked the first Sunday of Lent. Well, of course, that is something that is observed by Catholics, not born-again Christians like myself, but I'm just mentioning that. Framing his message around the theme of responsibility, Reverend Smith told ministers that leadership demands careful stewardship of the nation's resources. At the end of the day, the people decided to give Mia Motley third term in office. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the second time she called an early elections and still won. Unlike PNM. PNM had a history of calling elections early, you know, but used to lose. She has to be doing something good, something good. Nevertheless, you have to really wonder if, people are complaining that they're not receiving certain types of good performance and services from the central government. So why continue to vote for someone if that is the case? But I'm only now beginning to learn about the politics in Barbados, like I have begun to learn in Jamaica. I will continue to observe, and then my commentary will continue to increase as well. Moving on now to international news. Lockdown. New York City Mayor Zoran Mandami declared a state of emergency and announced a citywide travel ban running from 9 p.m. to 12 p.m. Monday as a powerful bomb cyclone began to blast the northeast. The mayor said all city streets, highways, and bridges were to be closed to non-emergency traffic during the peak of the storm. Wow. According to reports, Washington has given Iran a 48-hour ultimatum to submit a preliminary framework document as a basis for continuing negotiations. I saw Witkoff behind our negotiations. If the document meets American requirements, a follow-up meeting will be scheduled. Iran might probably give you the reason to have another meeting by lying, and you know that. You know that they'll lie. They will say something and then they will do something completely different afterwards, President Trump and Witkoff. If not, the process will come to an end. Israel has wisely, repeatedly warned against precisely this scenario, that the negotiations are little more than a bluff, a transparent maneuver designed to buy precious time. Instead of heeding Jerusalem's warnings, the American administration once again appears to have taken the bait offered by the Ayatollah regime. Of course, Amir Safati posted this in Telegram, and I'm thankful that he's taking a stand and showing President Trump, whom he appears to love a lot, brotherly love, of course, and because of the politics and whatever I'm talking about. He's trying to show him some wisdom as well. President Trump, stop all these negotiations. You know very well that all the Ayatollah has been doing is playing games with you for the past year. Take decisive action. You promised help was on the way to the Iranian people. Keep your promise, President Trump. Closing off now with an interesting facts segment. A Florida man spent 100 days living 30 feet underwater in a pressurized pod of the Florida Keys as part of a scientific experiment. Sounds like a movie again, eh? Joseph Deturi, known as Dr. Deep, completed the mission in 2023 at a lagoon in Key Largo and set a Guinness World Record at the time. After returning to land, medical tests showed lower cholesterol, reduced inflammation, and improved focus and sleep. Deturi said his cells appeared biologically younger, describing the changes as a life glitch similar to de-aging. He said the findings could inform research on extreme environments, including long-duration ocean missions and future space travel. Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, view my channel. I post news reports on a daily basis. View it and see what other news reports might be interesting to you. Stay blessed and stay safe, most of all. In Jesus' name.